This is a podcast of Nathan, Nat and Shaun.
Hey, everybody.
Hi, guys.
We're on holidays at the moment.
Oh, I'm loving it.
And
Sick.
loving it.
We've gotten a collection of some of the finest work that we've done throughout the year. Oh, guys.
And then we padded it out with some rubbish.
Don't undersell it, no.
Yeah.
Don't undersell it.
And this, of course, being a live broadcast. Today's best bits are all about...
From the Vault 2015.
Couldn't have said it better
yeah.
myself.
Oh, my God. Right to the point you are.
Enjoy.
This is Nathan, Nat and Shaun.
All right, guys. Time to catch up with an absolute superstar, and that's four-time Olympian Leisel Jones. She's got a new book out. It's called Body Links, and I'm sure a lot of people have seen some excerpts along in the paper over the last few days in particular. There's some real stuff going on here. She's so honest in this book. It's fantastic. Good morning to you, Leisel.
Good morning.
Leisel, when most celebrities in Australia put out a book, it's just usually 300 pages of 3 quotes per page written in different fonts. So this is amazing that you're actually so honest.
Thank you. Yeah, that's really what I wanted with the book. And the first thing that I ever said to Jian, who is the publisher with the book, I said, look, this is going to be really raw and honest. I don't think there's any point in writing a book if it's not going to be any revelations or anything sort of interesting. And I really wanted a positive story with it. So with all the stories, there's a reason why I put them in there. They're things that have happened to me and how I reacted to them. So I wanted to make sure it was a proper story and that I actually went into things. There's nothing worse than reading a book. I was like, oh, I went here and then I went there.
And there's a photo of me eating this.
Wow, that's amazing. I can't believe it. So I certainly didn't want that.
No, I like that because otherwise it's just your Instagram account.
Yeah, pretty
via
much.
book.
Right. Yes, I can get it for free, thanks.
Yes. Now, Liesl, I mean, the thing is, you're only 30, right? You have lived a life and a half because you were thrust into the public eye at such a ridiculously young age.
Such an icky age too.
I mean, 14 is a pretty hideous age for most people, and you had to live that out in front of everybody. Do you see that? Well, put it this way: if you had a daughter and she was good at something and she was going to be thrust into the public eye at 14, would you try and talk her out of it now?
No, I wouldn't talk her out of it. I think everything that I've learned, I had to grow up really quickly. So, I was exposed to things that most 14-year-olds aren't exposed to. And, the next person to me on the team in age was Sibylla Good, and she was 18. So, 4 years difference when you're a 14-year-old is very different.
It's huge.
A lot of people who I was swimming with, they were 18, and they're like, look, to be honest, we didn't want to hang out with a 14-year-old. Like, it's a bit weird. It's a really big age difference. So, it is hard, and look, I grew up in front of the camera, gross age, at the age of 14 in a pair of bathers. So, look, if you've got puberty issues, then everyone can see them. So,
Well, I think body image is the one thing we all have at that age, and these guys have seen a photo of me when I was 14, and they like to say I look like a confused lesbian.
So confused.
And
so lesbian.
And I would think the same thing. Like, you're jumping in your togs in front of the camera all the time. You're doing interviews after races. And this is, what we get to walk around in shorts and T-shirts, and that was the go-to outfit in front of everyone as a teenager.
Yeah, exactly. It's pretty gross to look back, and I saw some footage the other day just from the Olympics in 2000, and just, the crooked teeth and the bad haircut and you haven't had your hair done yet, you're not bleaching it yet, so, it's all those really weird things.
Hey,
but
you didn't look that bad.
No, you didn't.
To be honest,
You look fantastic.
looked like a normal 14-year-old kid.
I didn't have acne, so that's the
There
good
you
thing.
go.
And I didn't have braces either, so I'm pretty lucky in that sense, but... yeah, it's really hard. And look, I learned a lot about myself, and now I've got skills in older age that I use from then. So, it made me a stronger person and a bit more maybe self-aware and all that sort of stuff.
But you know
you have
what?
to grow up quickly.
Yeah.
Leisel, when we see you as a champion at 14, you don't see the 14-year-old girl anymore. You just see a champion. And that's honestly what you see. You see a machine. And I want to know, back then when you were 14... did you like normal things that 14-year-olds like? Who were you really into celebrity-wise? Like, were you like...
I hate to admit it, but Hanson was huge.
Hanson.
Bop had just come out.
Yep.
So I think I had a bit of a fangirl moment with Hanson. Backstreet Boys are huge. Just the usual stuff. I had a lot of sporting pictures on my wall, sort of a lot of surfing pictures. I went to the beach a lot when I was younger, and yeah, it's just kind of probably more sporty things, but, it was always like I heart Hansen.
Hansen.
And JTT for Jonathan Taylor Thomas.
Of course.
Home improvement.
Yeah.
He was pretty hot. Yeah.
You were going to marry him.
Amazing. And, Leisel, going through that time, right, being in particular when you're a young teenager and going to Olympics and world champs and stuff, was it hard to fit in with the older guys as well? Like, because there's a lot of men around there, or boys, that were testosterone flying around the place. I'm sure they could have been almost mean to you at times, putting down people.
Well, they were always pretty good. I mean, the people that I trained with were like the baddest of the bad people. Like, they were the cool people.
Yeah.
So I could never do any wrong because I was associated with them. So I was like technically part of the cool group, but not really part of the cool group, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, sure.
Like,
You reap the benefits.
On the fringes.
No one could pick on me because I have Jeff Hugel on my side. So,
there you go.
You can't pick on me. So, I wasn't the cool person, but I was associated with the cool group, so I was fine. But, I mean, we used to always play pranks on people and things like that, but always such harmless stuff, typical things, and no one really got hurt in the end. So, I was always part of practical jokes. So Jeff Hugel played a prank on me where he told me it was avocado and I ate a forkful of it and it was wasabi.
Wasabi!
Yeah.
So as you got older, you were a part of the Australian team for so long. Did you then, when you're in your 20s, look at the youngsters of the group and take them under your wing because you knew where they'd been?
Yeah, absolutely. I know and I get how hard it is, and to try and fit into a group of 60 people who are generally a lot older than you, I know and I get it, and I always try to make it as welcoming as possible. I mean, the Australian swim team was always very welcoming, but I always tried to make it extra nice for them and just go, is there anything we can do? Is there any way we can sort of help? And because it's just so hard. And I mean, Emily Seabohm, she was really young on the team when she was part of the medley relay team with me. So I always tried to make sure people felt included.
Yeah.
And but I mean, a lot of people are young now on the team, so they've usually grown up together, whereas I was kind of the exception on the Olympic team. Yeah. At 14, I mean, that's a huge difference.
Well, there's a big part in the book, and a lot of people might have already got onto this. I'm sure everybody asked you about it, is the attempted suicide in a way where you're in the bathroom and you kept locking yourself in, you're at high altitude training, and you've been there for a little while, and it all was getting too much for you. We can't put ourselves in that situation.
I was thinking about it because it's the pressure of, you're basically your own company. Really, you are part of the Australian team, but you are your own brand, your own company. So the pressure must have been full on.
Yeah, it was pretty ridiculous at the time. But I mean, my downward spiral really started from, I wasn't enjoying swimming at the time, and I was sort of like, well, if I'm not swimming, what else am I doing? And a lot of people said to me, it's like, well, you can't quit because what else will you do? It's like, well, I don't have a job. I don't have I have skills but no work experience. And I was like, well, what do I do? Like, if you take swimming away from me, I don't know what I am or who I am or what I'm supposed to do.
You could be a creepy crawly. You've got the skills to that.
Totally. Oh, those things freaked me out when I was younger.
I know. You swam for your life.
Yeah, exactly. So it was really hard in that sense and that started my downward spiral. So it was really challenging. And I mean, a lot of people would feel that way with whatever they're doing if their identity is tied up with whatever they're really good at.
Yeah.
And so that started me off. So, I mean, I got help after that, obviously, and just sort of realised that swimming is what I do. It's not who I am. And so once I learnt that, I was getting better.
One of the things that was out there when you're a younger swimmer was when you won the silver medal. A lot of people thought it looked like that you believed you'd lost the silver medal.
That was at Athens, wasn't it?
Yeah, a lot of the people in Australia, there was a bit of backlash involved there. How did you get through that situation?
That was really tough. I mean, at the time, being overseas, you don't really see what's in the papers here, but, I didn't realise how big it was and how big the story was. So that's hard when you're away. And, I mean, the worst thing is you don't go to the Olympics to win silver. Like, no one does that. That's not what we're there for. And no one's there just happy to be there. We all want gold. And so to do 4 years of training and to come so close to a gold medal, it is hard when you don't win it. Like, it's, and I'm particularly notoriously hard on myself. So, I mean, it's gold or nothing. And I guess with the book, I wanted people to know that when I stepped up behind the blocks, I was competing for money. That's what I needed.
Right.
I was the breadwinner in my family. I was supporting my mum with my swimming. I was keeping a roof over my head and food on my plate. Like,
Sure.
my swimming was my earnings.
Oh,
and
my
so if
God.
I didn't win gold, I earned half the amount, you know. It was, so I had that added pressure on me as well. So to be
You know
judged,
what? No one would have known that because people think straight away that you guys are all in great positions
Yeah.
and
That's
you know,
right.
and you're just topping it up and putting the money in your bank account. No
Sure.
one would ever would
You
guess
don't
that,
even think
Leisel.
about the money associated
You
with a
don't.
gold medal. You just think it's about the gold medal. Yeah.
Of course, yeah. And I mean, there's so much that goes along with it, and particularly being a woman in
Yeah,
sport,
yeah.
It makes it even harder. And, you know, that's an issue we're still fighting with, you know, to get equal pay. So it is really hard, and I wanted to be honest about that and just say that's the backstory. I mean, people judge you off, you know, my race is 1 minute and 5 seconds. So you probably see us on TV for about 15 minutes, half an hour, and that's all you see. And you don't know people's backstories and what they're really racing for.
And I know that Dawn Fraser spoke out and criticised you fairly heavily after that incident. Does it really, that must really sting when
Oh, it would
somebody
do.
legendary like Dawn, who should know better because she's been in the same position.
Dawn's at that age where she just mouths off about everything now, though. I mean, let's be honest.
Yeah, it was tough. I mean, and particularly because, you know, she labelled me a spoilt brat. It was so far from the truth.
Yeah.
It was so, you know, I never was born with a silver spoon in my mouth. I've had to fight, you know, tooth and nail for everything that I earned. So, you know, that sort of backstory just wasn't there, and sort of I had to cop it on the chin at the time and just go, you know what, if you knew how much I'm struggling right now, just to, you know, feed myself with my swimming, you wouldn't be calling me a spoilt brat. So, and that's why now when I look at other athletes, particularly Australian athletes, I never judge them off what I see.
Yeah.
There's always something else going on, and I think it's always better to say something to the person directly. Like, you go up to them and say, hey, what's going on? Can I help you? And do it directly rather than through the papers. I just think that's the total wrong way to go about it. It should always be done in private.
You know what? If only that's the way everything went.
Yeah.
If only that's the way
Yes, I
society was
know.
going.
I
But now
know.
it's all Twitter wars and stuff like that. Hey, Leisel,
Totally.
I'm really glad
Yeah.
I get a chance to speak to you and ask you this question because I think you'll be the most qualified to answer it. You've been in pools all over the world, haven't you?
Yes, absolutely.
Have you ever experienced weeing in a pool and being surrounded by a pink ring of ink?
Because they always threaten you with
You
it.
know that. Like, is that real anywhere in the world?
No, it
So-
hasn't happened anywhere that I've ever
Have
seen
you
it.
weed in every pool in the world?
You would
Leisel?
have.
You had to.
You
No,
would have.
because it's actually a really great excuse to get out and go to the bathroom and you miss a couple of 100 metres.
Yeah, I bet.
So for me,
Gotcha.
I was like, you people are idiots because it means you can get out of a couple 100 metres. And particularly if it takes a little bit too long, well, you know, you might miss 400
See,
metres.
that's the difference between you and us in the pool. You're in the pool doing laps. We're in the pool drinking.
That's a different
a bit of a
story.
difference.
Now, if you ask me what I do on holidays, that's
Yes.
That's what you do.
You get to that swim up pool bar very quickly. don't you?
Better than anybody. She'll
I'll
beat
go
you.
the next round.
Hey, Lisa,
that's right.
there's a great photo of you getting ready for a TED Talk, and those things are so interesting to see. A lot of great people get invited to speak at in front of
Yeah, what
industry
a-
people.
what an
How did
honour.
that go?
Oh, it's so hard. It's so nerve-wracking because it's 10 minutes of talking, but
Oh.
you can't have any notes. You need to know it really well.
No way.
And, it's hard. So, I mean, I spoke about outliers and the 10,000-hour rule and just how many hours it took me to win an Olympic gold medal, and it was 12,400 hours of training. So,
Yeah.
it was interesting, very nerve-wracking, really, really nerve-wracking.
Well, you know what? Because when they're telling you got to speak for 10 minutes, 10 minutes, everybody, if you don't ever public speak, 10 minutes is like
It's a
4
lifetime.
weeks. That is
Yes.
4 weeks of talking.
I know.
Non-stop.
Eternity, yep.
I love-
And I can talk underwater,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
I mean, for 10 minutes for me to talk about myself is just a bit like, okay, that's a bit
Well,
much.
everybody's
I love
listening.
And the 10,000 hours rule to be able to be an expert in a particular skill, doing 10,000 hours worth of like kicking a ball, throwing it, swimming,
Whatever it
the
might
case is.
be.
Just think about that.
Yeah.
It's incredible to put
Well,
that
I
time
could
in.
do a TED talk on watching Foxtel.
Yeah, you could. You could if you're a master.
You've nailed it,
I'm
Nathan.
really good at it, Liesl. I got a gold medal.
Liesl, you're headed over here. You'll be doing, you're discussing a new book, Body Links, next Tuesday night at 7 o'clock at Perth College. If people want to know more about that, Google Boffin's books, go to their website. It's in the upcoming events, and you can get tickets there. It's great to catch up with you, Liesl. You've done a great
Thank
job
you.
with this book. You should be very proud of it.
Yeah, thanks. I'm really looking forward to getting to Perth. So, hopefully the weather's turned on for me. So
We'll turn it on for you, buddy.
Yeah, don't worry,
Thank
we'll organise
you.
it. Okay, good on you, Leisel. Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Leisel.
Bye.
The Nathan, Nat and Shaun podcast.
We're joined by a couple of movie stars. One is Brett Lee, former cricketer, obviously, as we know.
Star cricketer.
And his co-star, I'm going to do it, Tanishta. Did I do it?
Bang
Very
on.
good.
AKA Tan.
Yes.
Welcome.
You dumb it down for us Aussies, don't you,
Yes,
Tan, to
yeah,
make
yeah.
it easy for us.
Yeah.
It's pathetic. We can't join in properly. It is, isn't it?
Just tan. It's just
Brett
easier.
Lee, you're an actor now.
I've been in a film.
There's a difference. Is that what you're
Smashy.
suggesting?
We have one actor in here, and that's Tanishta. No, I loved every single moment of it. It was a lot of fun, a huge challenge, and one that I'd love to do again.
So you're not just in it. You're the star of it. You're the romantic lead.
Yeah,
and you get to pash.
He's the
Tan.
Hugh Grant in this movie.
Yeah. Totally.
It was when they, speaking with Anupam Sharma, who's the producer director. I've known him for about 10 or 12 years.
What's his name again?
Anupam Sharma.
That is
You
the
call him
best
Snake?
name
We just
ever,
call him
isn't it?
Anu.
Just rhymes,
Anu.
rolls off the tongue.
But he's an Australian, like an Indian Australian, and so he's gone through this his whole life. Like where a lot of the quotes have come from the movie, are personal experiences
Yeah,
from
right.
the writer and also Anu. But when they said, we want you to, here's a script, and I love the fact it's an Australian script. I love the reference to India because I love India. But there's 119 scenes, and I thought there's a lot of dialogue. And then a couple of awkward scenes, and I was like, okay, all right. Get out there and expose yourself, but I didn't think they meant literally.
Yeah. Well, Tan, obviously co-starring this with Brett, you'll suck and face it towards,
Yeah.
the middle of the end part where you guys really get into it. It's a classic love story, obviously. So you've had a lot of experience being an actor and doing different things to what Brett would have been doing in those scenes. Did you guide him through it? Did you get the angle? How did you move him around to make sure it was done correctly?
Did he tongue on okay?
It was my first experience also to actually try and do that to my co-actor.
Do what? I'll just leave the studio, guys, and I'll be
Move
there.
him around and guide him through it.
Yeah, stop that. You're kissing like an idiot.
I think Tan
No,
said
I'm
the other
just
day on air.
joking.
She was saying the other day on air that I've worked with animals and with children. I'm like, where's this going?
So I want to know, because this whole movie is basically about an Australian bloke that is trying to date a girl from, Indian heritage. What is the rules? How can that happen in real life? There is a guy out there right now that sees a beautiful Indian girl and he wants to date her. How does he navigate to get towards her? Through the family.
I think it's exactly like one of the lines in the film. It's like everywhere else in the world, because that's what Brett's character will ask. So how do I do this? And his friend jokes and says, oh, you take her to the mud hut by the elephant by the side. And then he's like, oh my God, it's like how you do it here. Just take her to a restaurant or, like ask her out for a drink. And so I think we all are now living in very multicultural societies and cities all over the world. Like, the globalization, what it has done is cultures are coming closer. So there are differences, but there are, people are also embracing those differences. And so, love stories are becoming universal. And so this could have happened in an Italian community or a Greek community.
It must be such a hard thing,
yeah.
though, to fight the family to win them over because of cultural difference. That must be
Yeah.
so hard.
Yeah. So I think it's pretty universal. So there are Mira's character is actually quite contemporary. She could be a woman from any community.
Yeah.
She's a single mother. She has a job which is pretty high flying. She's financially independent. She's not seeking for a man, but when love happens to her, she stands by it. And she's a very independent woman of today.
She's a good catch. That's what she is.
She was seeking.
Hey, Brett, with obviously we talked about you've had your singles out, you've done well as a singer, you're doing movies, being a cricket star, right? Tell me about your tennis ability, because I've heard that you fancy yourself on a tennis court. Tell us about a game you played against John McEnroe.
With Gilly, actually.
That may be the source of this story.
We're doing a thing with Travelex, and I'm a rubbish tennis player. Like I've grown up playing all sports, but I don't watch any sport on TV. My mates know that when they come over my house, there's no sport on. I'm probably
Just Gilmore
the
Girls all
opposite
the
to
way.
what-
Yeah.
just I don't know, but so serving wise, it's a bit like bowling. So it's the same, like a similar action. So we're there and we're doing a little promo, and there's people watching, and McEnroe's there and he's just hitting the ball back, and I'm just thinking, this is John McEnroe. I don't want to really annoy this guy.
Yeah. See what happens.
And he hit a ball, and I've just gone and slammed one straight at his leg and gone, yes! And he's looked at me like with the death eyes, like he's going to kill me. I thought, he's like, are you taking this serious? I'm like, sorry, mate. So I don't think he liked me after that.
You nearly incurred the wrath of McEnroe.
The brat.
Oh, that would have been a bucket list sort of thing, wouldn't it?
I was
absolutely.
hopefully he'd throw a racket at me, but it didn't happen.
Gilly reckons you had a 5-setter over in the Maldives or something one day. Who's the better tennis player out of you two? Who won that match?
Gilly's got good stamina. Behind the stumps, he's always, up and down type thing. So I was trying to like drop shots and make him feel comfortable, but it was so hot. It's like playing a game of cricket over back in India. It was so hot. But
So who won? You're not telling us.
Gilly won.
Oh, okay, right.
So good morning, Gilly, and thanks for coming last
He
night,
wanted me
mate.
to throw that in. He didn't tell me the result.
Tan, just a quick question. Have you ever worked with anybody in a professional capacity that can get unlimited Weebix?
No.
Wow,
What
so
a
this is the
career
first for
highlight it
you.
must have been.
That's highlight.
Talk to us about
First time.
talk to us about your Weebix connection, because I hear it's pretty powerful.
Well, I was very, very pleased to see there's been some Weebix flying around this morning, but we actually liken the film to the whole cross-cultural relationships. It's like a curried Weebix.
Wow, there's a product endorsement. I was impressed to see that. Presumably when the movie was made, she was nobody, but now Heather from The Bachelor is in the movie.
She is, yeah, and it's funny last night when because we've enjoyed, because I've seen the film 4 times now, and I want to start by saying I find it really awkward seeing myself up on the big screen. Like it's weird.
Yeah.
I bet you do, yeah.
It's really, really weird. I mean that in all seriousness. But so the feedback and the noise in the sort of cinema with the packed cinemas, which we've been lucky to have, when Heather's on there, they come up and they go, "You hear Bachelor?"
Yeah.
Bachelor. So then the ICN kicks in. People are texting. There's
The ICN,
messages
I love
going
that.
everywhere.
The ICN's an
funny.
absolute classic. Hey, Tan, I mentioned to you outside when I first met you, you're a classically trained singer. You're reaching the big notes there.
Oh, the ICN is working. I can see you have a lot of information.
Yeah, absolutely. So did you just start out as a kid?
Yeah.
And have you put out would you do something in collaboration with Brett?
We're thinking
Or
about
would you,
it.
or would you do
that'd
it with
be
a real
awesome.
singer?
Yeah, so you want to work with a real artist.
Well, you know
So
what?
our next film would be the Indian band.
Yeah, I like
there you
it.
go. There you go.
This movie, it's going to go off in India, isn't it? Like, absolutely.
Yeah. So
We
we
hope so,
would be
yeah.
releasing it end of the year in India as well.
Wow.
We've been saying to the producer-director, Anupam, that I'd like to do another one, maybe call it half Indian, maybe un-Australian. We'll film it over
Just
there.
work it, make it turn into a franchise. It'll
That's
go
it.
off. The movie is called Un-Indian. Everybody, it opens on Thursday, October 15th, so that's this week. Cinemas all over the place. Look it up. Brett Lee starring. And do you play cricket in it at all? You don't, do you?
No, he does bowl in the nets at one stage. They only show one delivery, and I thought, mate, come on, buddy, you didn't even put
That's
your back into it.
I was
underutilising
bowling
your
off the
skill
wrong
set.
foot. I was bowling off the wrong foot.
Yeah, but the
and
fact you're doing an underarm was like, that's not what you do, Brady. And I know that.
Get some tips, Brett.
I couldn't bowl a hoop down a hill.
Brett Lee, Tan, thank you
Thanks,
so much
Tan.
for joining us.
Thanks, guys.
Nathan, Nat, and Sean.
You've probably seen the story, the very upsetting story about the wedding photographer whose car was stolen from South Perth Yacht Club while the reception was going on, which meant all of the photos that had been taken earlier in the day gone.
We feel so sorry for the bride, bride and groom Adam and Holly, which is terrible.
I know.
Chris and Anne, the photographers, they are just
They're
as
gutted.
devastated.
Absolutely. Such a special day. You've invested so much money and time and energy into it. Be a
Definitely.
shame not to have any pictures. Margarita is in Stirling. Hello.
Good morning. How are you all?
Margarita!
Were you the bride? What happened?
No, my poor brother. Back 20 years ago, he was a videographer and he still is in the game. And so he was doing this family friend's wedding, and he started like 8 o'clock in the morning, going and taking video of the bride before and all that sort of stuff.
Yep.
And it was in the day preview. So he did the whole day. Took him to the beach, did the whole romantic blah blah.
Yeah.
We get home and I said, come on, Rob, let's quick have a look at it. It's about 1 o'clock in the morning, and he puts the tape in and we have a look and there's nothing on there. And I said, come on, Rob, stop mucking around.
Yeah.
Taps another one in, nothing. I said, Rob, next one, nothing. And at that stage I threw up. and I wasn't drunk. I'm going, Rob, what's happened? He goes, I don't know. And then we previously going through all the videotape, and there was absolutely zip from the whole day. I've got goosebumps remembering this.
Yes.
Zip for the whole day. And I said to him, what are we going to do? How are we going to tell them? Anyway, we waited a day, and then we contacted his mother. Oh, the girl's mother, sorry. And she worked at a TV station, so she took the tapes in to have them analysed. And we just don't know what happened, but the whole day, gone. Gone.
Margie, that is full on. Did he?
Isn't it?
I mean, record. That's pretty much what I was done.
Well,
Take lens cap off, record.
Nah, I can't. You can understand if it was maybe half an hour, but a whole 12 hours, 13 hours? Nah.
That's incredible.
I love how you gave yourself a day just to think about
I
what
know.
to do. Just a day to rest, get something to eat, and then work out what this nightmare is going to be.
We don't want to ruin the afterglow just yet. Oh, thanks, Marguerite. Let's go to Marion in Port Kennedy. Hi, Marion.
Good morning.
Yeah. What happened to your wedding photos?
Well, let me begin this story by saying I'm now divorced, so it's not a big issue.
Oh, another 43%. Well done, Marion.
Our wedding photos were done by a friend of my auntie's who known me since I was a kid, so that was fine. And she come down from Kalgoorlie and she stayed at my auntie's and we gave her a car and she followed us around. And she was an amateur but professional photographer, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And seen her on the day after the wedding. Yep. I'll get the photos developed and I'll bring them down or send them down to you. Rah, 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 rah. Yep, we haven't seen her since.
So she just shot through?
She's just vanished. And this was back in '96, so there's no Facebook, there's no internet, there's no, We had a friend in Kalgoorlie that tried to track her down, couldn't find her.
Maybe she saw the end when she took the photos.
Did she take the car as well?
No, she left the car. She had to leave the car.
Did you have to pay her for this, Marion?
We paid her. I think we paid her for film, or my auntie paid her for film. But it was like a wedding gift because she'd known us for known me for so long. But so we ended up with happy snaps from drunk friends and family. And,
Oh wow!
So we're now divorced, so it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. But do you think that they didn't work out and she was too embarrassed to say? Or?
I'm wondering if there was, because a couple of times, because it was the old days with film cameras.
Yes.
A couple of times she said, "Oh bugger," and the batteries are flat, and things like that. It was comments during the day that we didn't think anything of. But
she's dropped them off at the chemist and not happy with the results.
Wow. Remember how much it used to cost?
I know.
You used to have 10 days for your film, and then it cost you $300 for 30 photos. It was like, whoa.
You're listening to Nathan, Nat and Shaun.
We're talking about what happened to your wedding photos or perhaps video. It is very distressing when you don't have that, the visual memories to look back on and to put up on your mantelpiece and that kind of thing.
I just realised I'm the one that took the official wedding photos for my cousin Cheryl's wedding in Kalgoorlie. Yeah.
Cheryl's still married?
Yeah, they're still married.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. And I remember at the time thinking I shouldn't do this. But I was publicly like, no, I can do it, but I shouldn't have.
There's a reason why you should probably get somebody professional. Craig's in Dianella. Morning, Craig.
Hello, how you going?
Hey, Craig.
Now, what happened to your wedding photos?
Well, we must have been either too close to the wall or he had the flash wrong, but every photo that we've had inside makes it look as if we've got a mullet. And all of it, and we all look like the Mohicans. Even the wedding cake's got a mullet.
Really?
So every photo of anything in your wedding's got a mullet on it.
Last of the Mohicans, Craig.
Some weird shadow thing going on.
Even bald people, I don't know.
Bald people?
They just got this tail.
But thanks for the community service, because talking about it, I've got my wedding wedding album out, just looking at it now.
Oh, how long have you been married, Craig?
Coming up with 30 years in January.
Hey, Craig, when you look at the suits, because I think that's the one thing that stands out when I look at my parents' weddings and stuff like that, is the suits everybody was wearing. And what colours did you roll in?
I was in black, and my best man, he had a grey jacket. Yeah. But we didn't do too bad. We didn't have the old floral, frothy shirt type of thing.
Yeah.
Did your wife, did she wear like a giant loofah? Is that what she had?
Technically. And it's a lovely pink for the girls.
Oh, of course it would be.
Beautiful pink bridesmaids.
Definitely. You're hilarious.
Good on you, Craig. Thank you. Let's go to Catherine in Cardinia. Morning, Kath.
Good morning. How are you?
Good,
Okay,
Kath.
so what happened to your wedding photos, Kath?
It wasn't my wedding photos. It was my brother and sister-in-law's.
Yeah.
And they're about the same vintage as Sean's dad's, because they went to school with your dad. Actually,
okay,
Sean.
yeah.
And my brother and sister-in-law's photographer somehow lost the negatives or something like that.
Yes.
Something like that. And went to tell my father, because my father and my mother had paid for the photos.
Yes.
And my dad got really shitty.
I'm not surprised.
That's a technical term, everyone.
Yes.
And he told the photographer, well, you're going to have to redo them. So when my brother and sister-in-law got back from their honeymoon, they had to all get dressed up again.
Really? Really? Do it again, Catherine?
Yeah.
Oh, I go to the same spots. And, oh, my God.
But when you come back from your honeymoon, you've actually eaten because
Yes,
you're married.
yes, and you've got a tan and that, yeah.
Bring me the girl that fits into a wedding dress a month after a wedding. Bring me that girl. Bring me that girl.
Nathan, Nat and Sean is a Nova podcast. For more great comedy shows like this, head to novapodcasts.com.au.